make it up. Absolutely unbelievable. Political correctness gone mad. The songs boy soldiers shame today's child migrants. England. My country. All of it. Because I was born in it. From the rolling green sward of Ireland to the gritty top of Scotland, via the wild dark mountains of Wales. England has occupied this unique spot in the sea for more than 1,000 years. Crashing foreign waves have not worn her ageless stone flanks, except for those scroungers who buy on the cliff edge, then stick out their hands the minute they slide onto the beach, like they always knew they would. And it has always been mine. Before I was even born. We are an island race. Inviolable. Never knowingly violated. Unconquerable. Even when conquered. Undefeated. Even in defeat. A race unchanged by outside meddlers who've changed everything. I'm English. My body is white. My hair is fine and light brown. I'm not fashionable. And nor is my wife. We enjoy plain food. Meat. Peas. Potatoes. Toast, carrots, the orange ones, sage, beans. We neither want nor need pasta. Because we were born here. On the sod under your feet. And England is my country. My father was born in England. My mother was born in England. Both my grandfathers and one grandmother were born in England. The odd grandmother was from Berwick-upon-Tweed, but she swore blind it was the English half, and that was good enough for us. People respected the English of Berwick-upon-Tweed back then. They endured terrible times up there, on England's wild fringe with the Scotch. Back then. Back then. Back then was a different world. The England of my grandparents. The England where we all of us voted to live this year in June. Some of you still haven't come to terms with that, but you must. because we've won that England back. Where were you at the Jubilee of 1977, when the whole nation was passionately in love with one small woman? I can tell you exactly where I was. Just behind that lorry, in a bright blue shirt, shiny red braces, a white tie, and the biggest smiling face you ever saw. I've never been so happy before or since. Just ask my wife. A happy English lad, proudly coming into full manhood, spread out in front of me. What a bloody fool I was. What bloody fools we all were. Even then, on the happiest day of all our lives, people were working to steal my country from me. Multiple enemies within. The Irish, everywhere, either blowing the pubs up or rolling around them on their backs. Black Rastafarians, wacky backy and deep noise. Punks, anarchism in the UK. All of a sudden there was a curry shop in town. Strange smells, complaints of missing pets. And then there were the unions. Men in parka coats standing idle as co-ops mounted in the streets between the bin bags and the heroin needles. The blackened fingers of Scargill's coal troopers locked around the windpipe of Britannia herself. The lights were going out. A new dark age was upon us. Fear stalked England because you couldn't see them in the dark until they smiled. We needed a shining light to guide us out of this darkness. This cloud of darkness that was overwhelming us, mostly from the north. And then one arose in our midst. A common shop girl. She's only a woman, said some. And they were right, she was. But over the next 11 years, she proved all women are not born equal. Some can be a match for men. A few are even better. Her, the Queen, maybe Marine Le Pen. There must be more. By the time she fell, betrayed by spineless grey cooks in her own party, the battle for Britain was won.
Lieutenant! Lieutenant! Lieutenant!
But the war on Europe had not yet begun, and many years of cowardice and surrender lay ahead. Years which would see French and German bureaucrats use England as a punching bag for their worst revenge fantasies. They told us that our sausages were wrong, that our chocolate wasn't chocolate at all, that bent cucumbers were poisonous, that prawn cocktail crisps were toxic, that straight bananas were against the law. And above all else, to add insult to injury, they flooded us, swamped us. Poles, Lithuanians, Serbs, Finns, Latvians, Bulgarians, Romanians pouring over the channel and under the channel to steal our jobs and benefits, to paw our women. In no time at all, the older white male was a second-class citizen in his own country. Once again, England needed a champion. And this time it would be a white male knight who rode to our rescue. Tall, handsome, impeccably English. We fell in love with this charming rogue, and in June 2016 he led a grateful nation to the sunlit uplands of sovereignty. We took back control. Brexit means Brexit. And yet, despite breaking free of our historic oppressors, there remains unhappiness across England. Division, discord, discontent. Why? What is wrong with these people? Who are these people? Who is to blame? Who is to blame?
The great game is to blame. Not the players, not the people, but the game itself.
High as a kite.
Trump and Kanye West are to blame.
Weatherspoons.
A cowardly attack on Tim Martin, one of Britain's bravest entrepreneurs. I don't drink in them, they're full of derelicts. But the derelicts who Tim took the time to teach and guide and reminded them when to vote. And for that we are eternally grateful.
I think David Cameron started it all. He said that he'd hold a referendum. It happened, he lost, and he's had to leave now with his tail between his legs, and it's just, as someone told him on Question Time, a student told him he'd fucked up the country.
Foul mouth.
Morrissey's to blame.
The Manchester homosexual.
X Factor, reality TV, but mainly X Factor, because with X Factor, people, idiots like Joe Public out there, who was sitting there eating fucking KFC, were just like, what's this voting thing? Voting? I'll have a bit of that.
The 52% have spoken.
Bill Oddie.
The algorithms behind the social media that make us prioritise ourselves in front of everything else, that make us a very narcissistic culture, and that filter our world so that we only see a very, very select, small portion of it that we agree with, which ultimately reinforces that we are right and abuses our ability to actually be critically, engaging with the world around us and to be aware of the wider picture of what's going on, whatever that may be.
David Icke.
I think the Tory party's to blame.
What a surprise.
They're giving the wrong people the benefits. People who work get penalised for working.
Then they should work harder.
There's no crock of gold at the end of this rainbow. Just ask David Bowie.
Oddbins is to blame. If it wasn't for Oddbins, my mum and dad would not have got that bottle of wine and made me in the first place, because otherwise there was no chance they would ever possibly procreate. It's all their fault.
I think the right-wing media and a lot of the tabloid press are to blame.
It's called free speech, beatnik.
In my opinion, the representatives of the white toxic masculinity are to blame.
French.
It's easy to blame the politicians, but the politicians with lack of understanding on behalf of the people, really.
Talks like my wife. Liptons!
I don't know. I mean, this is just a kind of a jokey kind of thing that I'm saying, really. But if you've got things like Brexit and Trump, and then, you know, stupidly, really, you've Honey G.
Ethnic cap.
Bowie. You know, I'm just saying it happened in January. Ever since then, everything's been falling apart. He was sort of the cornerstone, I think, of society. And also ignorant people. If you're making misinformed decisions, you're going to make the wrong decision.
One man's ignorance is another man's wisdom.
David Cameron. I'd say David Cameron, just for the sheer fact that he kind of backed out of Brexit. He kind of promised it last year, and then it actually happened, and then he disappeared when it actually became reality, and he realised that it wasn't working out.
Pretty girl. I came to Liverpool and asked, who is to blame? And what did I hear? The politics of envy, of perversion, youthful left-eyed malcontents with a chip on each shoulder and their hands out, fishing for a handout, not a hand up, and certainly not a stiff handshake. I heard the screams of dinosaurs, living fossils from an age now past, thank God. The liberal age, an edifice of leftist privilege built on the sacrifices of men who won the war. The bullets they stopped with their selfless bodies were ultimately used as justification for people to roll around on the sofa all day in tracksuits, watching people just like themselves confess to sexual incontinence. The bombs which fell ushered in an age of filth. Smut thrust in our faces from a young age. Pop singers in bras. Drug abuse cheered from the rooftops. Living in sin, smeared all over the English tradition of marriage. But this is all gone now, swept away by a stiff wind on June 23, 2016, when the older heads once again took charge and led this bleeding country out of its moral turpitude and back to the sunlit uplands it abandoned all those years ago. And today, England once more expects. What does England expect? England expects that the will of the people will be respected in silence. England expects that Farage will soon take his place in the law-making bodies of Great Britain. England expects that the Remainers accept that they, and they alone, are to blame. And above all else, England expects Brexit. Hard, fast, red, white, and blue.